First, make sure the engine's cool. While you're waiting, go find a rag. Then, open the hood. Let's start by checking the oil level. Find the dipstick. If you need some help, check the owner's manual. It tells you where to find the dipstick and other maintenance points under the hood. Now have that rag ready. Remove the dipstick and wipe it off. Put it back in and take it out again. Now look at the end. You should see some oil on the stick and some marks and lettering. If the film ends between the low level marker and the end of the stick, your car needs oil. Also, look at the color of the oil. Usually darker oil means dirtier oil. Now replace the dipstick. To add oil, find the oil cap. Twist and remove the cap. Check the underside of the cap. It should be pretty clean, maybe a little oily. If it has dark, thick deposits, wipe them off with your rag. If your oil was near or below the min or add line on your dipstick, add small amounts of oil till the full or max line is reached. Hold the spout up when you pour the oil into the fill hole. Twist the cap back onto the engine when you're done adding the oil. Next, we'll check the brake fluid. Check your manual to help find it. This time I suggest you leave the brake fluid reservoir cap on. Every time you take the cap off, moisture can get into the brake fluid. The brake fluid needs to stay clean and free of moisture. The cap is on a plastic part called the brake fluid reservoir that you can mostly see through. You may need to take a rag and wipe some of the grime off the outside of the reservoir. There are lines labeled min and max on the reservoir. If the fluid is near or below the min line, take your car in for service immediately. Next, we move to the coolant. Most cars today have a near clear plastic reservoir that looks sort of like a bottle. It has lines marked min and max. You can look at the reservoir and see the coolant level. If it's low, top it off with antifreeze. It's best to buy pre-mixed antifreeze. And now for the power steering. Your power steering system has a fluid reservoir, usually with a cap that has its own dipstick, much shorter than the one for your oil. Twist off the cap, wipe the dipstick, twist the cap back on, twist it off again, and look at the dipstick. It has lines marked min and max, or full and empty. On we go to the transmission fluid. It has a dipstick similar to the oil dipstick, but usually longer. Check the transmission fluid with the engine and transmission warm, with the car in park and the engine running. Finally, check your wiper fluid. This is really easy. It's in a semi-clear reservoir. Fill it as needed. You don't want to be caught without any on a dark, rainy night. There may be one in the back of the car too, for the rear window. Check your owner's manual, because car manufacturers can be very creative in the placement of the rear washer fluid reservoir. Once you've checked all your fluids, this is a great time to check your tire pressure. Tire pressure gauges are available at any auto parts store. To find the tire pressure level required for your car, check for a sticker in the door jamb on the driver's side, or check the owner's manual. It might call for different pressures for the front and rear tires. Check the pressure while the tires are cold. Tires heat up while you drive, so you want to give them about a half hour to cool down. Unscrew the valve cap and set it where you won't lose it. Press the tire gauge into the valve stem. There might be a slight hiss as you press down on the valve stem, and again as you release it. You only need to do this for a second or two, just long enough to get an accurate reading. Read the tire pressure on the gauge. And it's not a bad idea to write down the tire pressure as you go around the car. You can refer back to this when you fill the tires. Obviously, if the tires are out of specification, you'll need to correct the tire pressure. This is also a great time to check all your belts and hoses for wear and tear.